It's week 10. It is the week of Christmas, and Michael Bolton, how many hoes have you got for us?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and Santa's coming into town. He's coming hard and fast. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it is not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com, and you can sign up for your favorite NBA teams' best newsletter, all the information across the web delivered to your inbox. So go and check that out. That would be sick, great, awesome, fantastic. It is week 10. It's actually week 9. It's week 10 of the NBA season, and that might be fantasy matchup week 9 for you. It is if you're in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl on Fantrax. It is if you play on Yahoo, but it might not be if you're playing on CBS or you're playing on ESPN. So it is week 10 of the NBA season. December the 23rd through to December the 29th is what we are talking about here. So let's get in. Let's chat about it. Let's look at the week of Christmas. And we'll start where we always start these shows, just by taking a look at how the schedule plays out on a day-to-day basis. We start the week with a incredibly busy day. We've got 14 games on Monday. That is obviously way too many. I know it is important that the NBA has Christmas Eve off. I understand that. And that is 100% what they should do. But 14 games on a day, it's just gigantically detrimental to the product. I don't get it. I don't understand why you would do that. 14 games on Monday, 0 on Tuesday, and then Christmas Day, we have got 5 games. We have got then Thursday with 9, Friday with 8, Saturday with 9, and Sunday with 6. So that's how the schedule is playing out for the week. What does it look like in terms of games played? Well, I've got the answer to that as well. We have got 16 teams that play 4 games for the week. So that is barely, but it is the majority of teams playing 16 games. Atlanta, Boston, Brooklyn, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Indiana, Memphis, Miami, Minnesota, New York, Oklahoma City, Orlando, Phoenix, and San Antonio all have 4 games this week, which is important because it's only 6 game days. There are only 6 game days, but over half the teams are playing 4 games. We've got 10 teams that play 3 games. Charlotte, Chicago, Detroit, the Lakers, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Portland, Toronto, Utah, and Washington. And then we have got a group of 4 teams that play 2 games for the week. Cleveland, the Clippers, New Orleans, and Sacramento. They play 2 games for the week, which of course is going to be important for you to understand and know that there are going to be teams, and that is a big difference, right? When you got a 4-game week versus a 2-game week, it's depends which direction you're looking. It's 100% or it's 50%. 100% more, 50% less. And yes, that is how those percentages work. So that is a sizable difference when you're streaming a Cleveland player or a Clippers guy or a Kings player versus any one of those 4-game players. It is a difference that is basically not recoverable from in terms of a value perspective. Let's take a look at the quality game set up for the week. We'll talk about streaming through that as well. Streaming, of course, is... And I know there are going to be people, and I don't want anyone saying it. I don't want anyone calling them tacos because, we've got the taco hat here. You're not a taco if you don't know what streaming is. What does streaming mean? Streaming just means using one or more of your roster spots and using it as not a permanent full season hold. It's like we use that to add someone for 1 day or 2 days or a little period of time, and then we move on from that player just to be able to turn one roster spot into more games. Simple as that. And your league settings will always dictate how able you are to do that, whether you've got unlimited moves, 4 moves for the week, 7 moves for the week, games cap, all that sort of stuff. But that is literally what streaming is. It is using one roster spot to just get extra games in and just using it as a churning spot. Add a guy, drop a guy, add a guy, drop a guy. Through one roster spot, get more games into that position. So, let's talk about the quality games for the week. Every day this week is a quality game day, except Monday. Well, of course, Tuesday as well, because no games are on. But that's okay too. So, when we talk about the quality game proposition for the week, it is interesting because every one of the 16 teams that plays 4 games, all of those teams have 3 quality games. Meaning that out of their 4 games, right, they all play on Monday with 14 games on. All of the 3-game teams, all 10 of them, they all play on Monday as well. So that means they've all got 2 quality games. Where you get the difference is in the 2-game teams. The Cavs and the Clippers only have 1 quality game. They play on Monday and then 1 more game for the week. The Pelicans and the Kings, well, they're not a real 2-game week team in terms of daily strategy because both of their games are on lower volume days. So, again, we can do basic analysis of stuff and talk 2 games versus 4 games. But considering to stream a Kings player or a Pelicans player, you'll use them twice. And you'll use the players from that 10 game or 10 team cohort, love that word, 10 team cohort that play 3 games because all of those are streamable twice as well. Now, finding the right times to stream them is a different story. But while the Pelicans look on the surface, especially the Pelicans look like they've got a terrible schedule, 2 games only, they don't. And they're going to feature heavily in what we do this week. So understanding that difference, like the Cavs and the Clippers, yeah, you might use them once. Yeah, a Max Strus, I'll use him as an example, because he's coming back and people are asking the questions about him. They'll play on 1 low-volume day, the Cavs. Strus is not good enough to crack a lineup on a 14-game day, so you'd use him once for the entirety of the week. Whereas a Kings player, let's say Keon Ellis, Kevin Huerter, BJ Boston, probably all worse players than Max Strus. But you'd use them twice. It's a huge difference, obviously. I would hope that's obvious anyway. So let's talk about the stream zone. This stream zone, you don't need any sort of waterproof protective gear because we're just talking about getting players in for fantasy. And this is how I think we can really maximize stuff. You're going to hear the Denver Nuggets brought up a lot in the bulk portion of this Week 10 preview show. And when we do the show later on where we're talking about streaming players in on Sunday to win your Week 9 matchup, the Nuggets will be a part of that because they play on Sunday. So when you're considering someone, if you want to maximize what you do for the week, you can add a Nuggets player on Sunday. You start with a Nuggets player on Sunday. Who that is? Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson. They're probably your options, right? You stream that player in. On Monday, there's 14 games on, so it doesn't really matter what happens. You're not going to use that streaming guy anyway. Tuesday, there are 0 games on. And then Wednesday, Christmas Day, we've got 5 games on. So, that does become more interesting in that position. But you got the Nuggets players playing. And then you can drop the fringe Nuggets guy and then switch to someone who's got a Thursday, Friday back-to-back, which includes Brooklyn, Houston, Indiana, Memphis, the Pelicans, 2-game team, the Pelicans, and the Magic. And then after you've wrung out what you can from the Thursday, Friday back-to-back, you can drop that player and add someone who plays the weekend back-to-back. A Hawks player, a Heat player, or a Thunder player. That is 1 roster slot. You get 5 games out of it, and you've only used 2 moves for the week. Because there are only 6 game days for the week. There are only 5 streaming days for the week. So you have gotten 1 game every day, and you've used 2 moves, meaning in most leagues, you've got 4 moves at least. So those other 2 moves can be used for longer-term stashes, adding guys through injured reserve. When an injured player opens up another roster spot, you can stream through that as well. But that is the maximal way to use one roster spot for the week. Get a Nuggets player on Sunday for week 9, and then you turn that spot into getting games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And even if you don't get the Nuggets player to end week 9, you can just add anyone you want on Christmas Day, because you can do that. That just means you use 3 moves. Add any Christmas Day player you want, then do the Thursday, Friday back-to-back, then do the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. 5 moves, 1 slot, 2 or 3 moves, depending on how you want to end up attacking that. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more of the oddities through the week as well in terms of the schedule. But today's episode is brought to you by Skylight Frames. We've got our Skylight Frame set up at home. It's actually really, really good. And we are, as we said, getting close to Christmas. So when you're doing that and you're looking for a gift, well, yeah, Skylight Frames can really be one of those great gifts. You can give it to someone. It's so easy to set up. You get an app on your phone to be able to send your photos from your phone straight to the frame. It's a digital photo frame with a touchscreen, which is an important thing as well. But then you can give either an email address or app invitations and give permissions for people to be able to upload their photos onto your frame. Now, I thought there might be some room for shenanigans with this, that someone might be able to send, I don't know, a very weird photo and it will just appear in your living room. That's not the case, because you give permissions to people as well, that when they upload photos, you say, hey, can they just upload stuff freely? Do you have to approve those photos to pop up on your photo frame? You can do it through the email address as well. All that stuff is awesome. It can hang on a wall. It can sit on a table, on a ledge. It is a digital photo frame with a swipe that enables you to stay connected and have photos shared right across the country and honestly across the world. I'm debating, do I give you guys my code so you can share photos through there? We'll see. Maybe, if you're good enough. Now, special limited time offer for our listeners. You can get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That is SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/NBA. Easy. Go and get one. It is, honestly, it's great, and I've got one in the house. And I don't like photos, and I don't like photo frames necessarily, but I actually do like this, and we have been using it. So there you go. All right. Let's get back into talking about the NBA, the schedule for week 10. What are the quirks that we need to look at here? There's a lot of them. There are a few teams. And why have I written it this way? I thought I'd written it incorrectly. No, I haven't. There are 3 teams who do not play over the weekend. Cleveland, the Clippers, and the Pelicans. Those teams do not play over the weekend. So when you're considering what you're doing for streaming-wise, we already talked about the Pelicans' value there, and obviously that's the Cavs and the Clippers are two-game teams that they don't play on the weekend, so when you're trying to grab that extra value out of them, it's there. Whereas the Kings, the other 2-game team, do play on the weekend, so a little bit different from them. There are 2 teams, and that's, again, 2 of the 2-game teams that do not play a game until Thursday. Monday, there's 14 games on, they're off. Tuesday, they're off with 0 games, and they don't play Christmas. And that is the Pelicans and the Kings. Well, obviously, the Pelicans have 2 games Thursday, Friday. And the Kings, I think, are Thursday, Saturday. So those 2 teams, it is harder to hold them at the beginning of the week. But remember, the first 2 days of the week are not usable days. 2 full, 2 empty. And then Christmas is different. There are 2 teams who have a very light period of the week, and that is the Cavs and the Clippers again. You see these teams mentioned a lot. But from Wednesday through to Sunday, Cleveland and the Clippers play 1 game only. Again, bad news for Max Strus. Bad news for Derek Jones. Bad news for Kevin Porter or Chris Dunn or Amir Coffey. Just no value in 1 game in 5 nights. There's way more things you can do with that roster spot than waste it on nonsense like that. But there are a bunch of teams with a 4-game in 5-night period. And I say 5 NBA game nights. Not 5 regular days, because Thursday's a 0 day. And this is where you can really get some value cracking. Denver, Houston, and Indiana between Sunday and Friday, which is 6 real-life days, but it is 5 game days. Denver, Houston, Indiana have 4 games in 5 nights. And then between Monday and Saturday, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, New York, and Phoenix have 4 games in 5 nights. Understanding that the first one of those games is on Monday, and there are 14 games on, but it is a condensed period of time for both of those, or not both those teams, for all of those teams across those periods right there. If we look at some other sort of scheduling stuff in terms of the 3 game in 4 night periods, Sunday through Thursday, again, I'm using 4 game days, 4 game nights. Sunday to Thursday, Denver, Houston, Indiana, and Toronto. Monday to Friday, these teams have 3 games in 4 nights. It's Boston, Brooklyn, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, Houston, Indiana, Memphis, Minnesota, New York, Orlando, Phoenix, San Antonio. And then after that, we've erased that 0 game day. And then to end the week, Wednesday through to Saturday, a 3 game in 4 night period for Dallas, Denver, Golden State, New York, and Phoenix. And Thursday through to Sunday, it's Atlanta, Brooklyn, Houston, Indiana, Memphis, Miami, Oklahoma City, and Orlando have got 3 games in 4 nights. There is already talked about a period or a bunch of teams who got 4 games in that weird sort of 5 night period. But if we talk about a actual 6 night period, which is Sunday through to Saturday, which is 7 real days, but 6 game nights, there are these teams that play 4 games. Denver, Dallas, Golden State, Houston, Indiana, New York, and Phoenix. The difference here is Denver, in 6 game nights, play 5 games. We know that Big Chungus has been rolling at a huge level. Big minutes for Nikola Jokic. 5 games in 6 game nights. What does that mean for the poop cookie Michael Porter? What does it mean for Jamal Murray? What does it mean for Aaron Gordon, who's been dealing with that calf issue? 5 games for the Nuggets in 6 nights. It's a very, very busy period. Very busy. And then if we look at an extended run of 9 nights, 9 game nights, there are 2 teams that play 6 games. That is Sunday of week 9 through to Tuesday of week 11. 9 game nights. Denver has 6 games and Indiana has 6 games. So they are your 2 teams with the real boost in schedule, because we can talk daily streams, and we do all the time. But sometimes with some of these hit or miss waiver wire players, you don't know what you're going to get. You could add someone and they shoot 1 of 10 and they play 10 minutes, and the next game they play 30 minutes. But over a 10-day period, a 9-day period, that evens out and you get the 120th best player, which is solid enough, especially when you've got an amalgamation. That's probably not the right word there, but it's a lot of games. That's what I'm trying to say in that time frame. And if you're talking streaming, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Strowther, Watson, Brown, Westbrook, if they're available. 6 games, 9 game nights. Just having that value there is useful. It's important, I think. On the flip side of that, over those next 9 NBA game days, 10 real life days, the Pistons play 3 times. 3. So if you are getting excited about Asar Thompson, if you are in one of the old diamond, double onyx, platinum, diamond, titanium leagues, and you're thinking, hey, maybe I go and grab Paul Reed because Isaiah Stewart is out and also Reed's better than Duren, then the Pistons play 3 times. 3 times in 10 days, but 3 times in 9 nights. 9 game nights. And that's not enough. Asar Thompson, it's not enough to hold Jaden Ivey. It is barely enough to hold Tobias Harris. Barely. But is it even enough to hold Malik Beasley? It's so low, man. 3 games compared to 6 of those other 2 teams. It's a lot. It is a big difference. Let's talk about back-to-backs. Some of these back-to-backs are going to be more important or more useful than others because, of course, of the large 14-game day. But Sunday through to Monday, Denver, Houston, Indiana, Toronto. Remembering Monday's a 14-game day. Monday through to Wednesday, Tuesday's a 0-game day. There are a bunch of teams. And basically, these are just all the teams that play on Christmas, play on Monday as well. Boston, Dallas, Denver, Golden State, the Lakers, Minnesota, New York, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and San Antonio. And then what we talked about earlier in the stream zone is Denver is the only team that plays on Sunday and on Wednesday. So you can use them on a low-volume Sunday, and you get to keep them for the low-volume Wednesday. Thursday, Friday. We've talked about this back-to-back already. Brooklyn, Houston, Indiana, Memphis, New Orleans, and Orlando. There is no Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. That does not exist this week. And then we look at a Friday-Saturday combination as well, which doesn't work out perfectly when we're talking about the value of what was I going to say? Getting the most games in through streaming. Friday, Saturday is not the great back-to-back that we want, but it's Dallas, Denver, Golden State, New York, and Phoenix. And then Saturday to Sunday is Atlanta, Miami, and Oklahoma City, which we have already spoken about being the back-to-back to end the week to really boost that streaming value or streaming potential that you might have. We're going to come back and talk about injured players. We're going to talk about some weekly leagues and what we do with the 2-game players. But today's episode is brought to you by Built Rewards. If you are a renter, you got to listen up because this can change things for you. Honestly, thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with serious perks and it is completely free to join. You can earn those valuable Built points on your rent and your everyday spending, and you can use those points towards flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments. They've got over 500 airlines connected, over 700,000 hotels, and those possibilities are endless. We all love traveling. We all love saving money as well, and you can do both of those things with these Built Reward points. So start earning points on rent that you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That is joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use the link so that they know that we sent you. Don't wait and start earning rewards today. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It is almost time for the NFL playoffs, and you love the NFL playoffs if your team's playing, especially. But it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because now, not $150, that's done. It is $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet over on FanDuel. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. Whichever player you want in terms of anytime touchdown scorers, or how many points a team will score, or over-unders and totals and money lines and spreads, it's all there. All that stuff that you can go and check out. Not only it's not just betting on who wins the game, there's all those individual little things you can do over at FanDuel as well. So go to FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, so let's take a look at some injury situations or news that we do know or don't know. I think don't know a lot of the time is probably one of the more, not important parts of it, but interesting parts of it. These guys are players that I just don't think we're going to have played during the week. Isaac Okoro, Trey Mann, Bojan Bogdanovic, Mitchell Robinson, Kawhi Leonard, and Paolo Banchero. Don't think they're going to be out there playing during the week. Neither is Franz Wagner, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Chet Holmgren, or Vince Williams. I only included the guys there who really matter for the majority of 10 and 12 team formats, and they're the guys that I do think matter in that scenario. In terms of guys that we're not sure about their Week 10 status, Luka Doncic is ruled out for today's game. We'll see whether he's available during the week. I think he probably will be, but we don't know. Damian Lillard's also missed both games of the back-to-back for the Bucks, which is a little bit concerning. Devin Booker with the groin strain, I don't think that he plays at all, but they haven't fully ruled that out, so we'll see. Ja Morant dealing with the back issue that caused him to miss that time in that Golden State game. I think there is some concern with Demetrius in terms of how much time he actually misses here. Emmanuel quickly, maybe an end-of-week return, not sure. James Butler, he is dealing with the ankle issue, which then they called an illness, and he's already doubtful for the game on Saturday, which is to no one's shock at all with Butler. So yeah, you've got a risk of him not playing. We don't know about Brandon Miller, who's missed a couple in a row for the Hornets. With him out, you just get extra touches for a bunch of different players, including someone like Cody Martin. Jakob Poeltl has missed a few now with a groin issue for the Raptors. So John Mobo, theoretically it's Kelly Olynyk, but not really. But John Mobo gets the value. We might get Cam Thomas returning, so that'll be a positive in that spot. Tari Eason's been dealing with a leg issue. I am holding barely. Josh Giddey and his ankle, I think he does return during the week, and I just have no idea about Kyle Kuzma and this rib sprain, which has obviously kept him out for quite a long time. Last time out we saw the Jazz, Keontae George sprained his ankle. He came back into that game, but he is doubtful for their next game, so maybe there's a chance he misses games in Week 10. Onyeka Okongwu should be returning towards the end of the week. Marcus Smart missed the last game for the Grizzlies, so there's uncertainty there. And we also might be getting the return of Aaron Nesmith in Indiana. Not that Nesmith is necessarily a good fantasy option, although, like I said, 6 games, 9 nights, that is a bulk volume play. But Nesmith won't get all of those games, just to be clear. But he is going to be returning to action and just could change a few little things about how that team operates. The last thing we want to look at is some weekly league stuff. And you know what a weekly league is? It's a league where you set your lineup for a week. And I think probably the most important thing we look at in terms of a weekly league is having a look at which players on the 2-game teams, and there are 4 of them, are going to be worth starting for a standard 12-team format. Cleveland, the Clippers, the Pelicans, and the Kings all play 2 games. I think these 4 players are the guys that you would start in most cases. It's 2 Cleveland guys, Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. I think you would start James Harden, and I think you would start Domantas Sabonis. The ones who would be close is maybe Norman Powell, probably not. De'Aaron Fox, borderline. DeJounte Murray, borderline. I wouldn't consider Trey Murphy. I wouldn't consider Herb Jones. I wouldn't consider DeMar DeRozan in Sacramento. I wouldn't consider Ivica Zubac, really. I wouldn't consider Jared Allen or Darius Garland either in most spots. So I think Mobley, Don Mitchell, Jim Harden, and Domantas Sabonis are going to be your 4 guys who, with 2 games on, are probably going to be worth starting. And that is a Week 10 Christmas preview. And it is Christmas. If you want to give me a gift, you can just donate one of your thumbs onto the video and subscribe on the audio side and double bang, of course. But you know, without it sounding corny, the biggest gift you can give me is just you guys have a good time. Just be positive. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be down on things. What's something good that you've done this year, 2024? We'll do more of this sort of positive thinking stuff around New Year, but it's Christmas time. Don't let yourself get brought down. Be positive. Be good. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.